Hey neighbors, Kevin here with eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Curt A16 fifth wheel hitch with the S20 slider base here in our 2017 Toyota Tundra. If you own a Toyota Tundra and you're looking for an all-in-one kit that's going to have everything you need so that way you can tow your fifth wheel trailer, then going with this kit is going to be a great option. It's going to have the A16 fifth wheel hitch head along with the center section, and then that S20 slider base, because with Tundras you're typically going to have a shorter bed and you're going to need that extra clearance so that way you can make a turn without the nose of your fifth wheel contacting the cab of the truck. The best part about this is it's also going to include the base rails and the custom fit brackets that you're going to need to mount to the frame so that you can mount up your trailer hitch. Now, one thing I do want to mention, since we are in a Toyota Tundra, is that typically Tundras aren't going to be your best option whenever you are going to be towing a fifth wheel. Typically the capacities that they can handle are pretty low, so you really have to have that fifth wheel that's going to be a much lighter GVWR. So I would definitely double check what your trailer weighs, figure out what your truck can actually handle, make sure that you're going through your owner's manual, figuring out, because there's a lot of different variables for your vehicle. The type of cab you have, the engine you have, there's a bunch of different factors that go into what that actual capacity is. So you definitely want to make sure that you're going to be able to handle it. You don't want to be right at what that trailer weighs or under it, because if you are, then you're going to overload your vehicle and it's going to end up damaging things and it's not going to be a good time. So the biggest part of this kit is going to be our fifth wheel hitch, and with this one, this is going to give you that extra turning clearance here since it has a slider. Now this is really easy to work. I've already popped out the pin and clip which will lock this into the towing position, and even from the outside of the bed, which I'll show you in just a bit later, is you just pop this handle down, really easy. There's some other ones where you kind of got to really pry it out. This one really just pops down nice and slide forward. It locks right back in place. We can make our maneuver and then we can get back in our truck, pop that back into here, and we're off towing again. Now this has a lot of the features you've probably already seen just because A16 is a pretty popular fifth wheel hitch. So we have full articulation, front, side to side, back to back. There's rubber dampeners that are built into the head that are going to help eat up that road shock and any kind of vibration that you have. Help with your chucking so that back and forth motion when you're kind of coming to a stop, or when you're starting to take off and the trailer wants to kind of fight back and forth with you, or when you're going over those railroad tracks and it's kind of jarring back and forth. So that's built into there so that you don't have to feel that as much through the truck itself. So taking a much closer look at our fifth wheel hitch, one thing that comes with it is a lube plate, which is going to allow you to prevent scratches and make it a much easier transition when you're connecting up to your fifth wheel trailer. This will simply just pop right onto the kingpin, just like so. And then when we come up onto our hitch, it's going to be creating a barrier between that plate on our pin box and the top of our fifth wheel hitch. So that way we're not putting any grease on there that can accumulate some debris and make things kind of gross and get it all over yourself. And this just makes it much cleaner and easier to do so. So let's show you how this works. We'll pop out our pin and clip on this. We'll pull the handle out towards us, pop back, and that opens up the jaws. Now when we go to pull this in, I don't have as much weight as a trailer does, so I can get it back a little bit, but I'll have to pull the handle as well. So that would be locked in place, and now we're getting a full 360 degrees around our kingpin with the two jaws overlapping each other by an inch there at the front. Now before we go anywhere though, we need to make sure that we pop our pin and clip back into place in our handle. We don't want to have any issues with our coupler coming unlocked. So we pop that back down and into place, and now we know we're safe to tow. So another nice thing that Curt does is they put an indicator on the back. So right now, Tom is sitting in the driver's seat looking back with the camera, and we can see we have a green circle here, which tells us that we are safe to tow. Now, if we weren't, we would see red, like we saw when I started to push that in, and then also yellow. I'll push it back in so you can see it. So this is with the handle fully back in the coupling mode where our jaws were kind of split open. When we go to Put that in. You can see we're not fully into that safe mode. If you were still able to get your pin and clip in, you now need to come back here and look at it and say, oh, okay, we still have got red here. That's not safe. We want to make sure that we're fully into that green like that. So a couple other important factors here are going to be our hitch height, for one. With this base, it's going to sit a little bit higher just because we are sitting on top of that sliding base instead of just the normal footprint that we'd have. Another factor to consider is because we're using base rails, that's going to add another 1.5 inches as well to it. So at the lowest setting, we're going to have a 17.5-inch hitch height, so that's up to the top of our hitch here. And then at the highest setting, that would be 21.5. And the goal with that is we want to have our fifth wheel trailer riding level with us. So the way to do that is to measure from the ground up to the bed. So we'd measure for that. And then over on the fifth wheel, we would want to get to our pin box. And we're not going to measure up to the kingpin. We want to get to that plate that the kingpin comes down from. So that's this portion of it right up here where that kingpin starts. We want to make sure that we're getting from the ground up to that while the trailer's level. The difference between those two numbers is going to be what your hitch height needs to be with your fifth wheel hitch. The goal along with that is also to make sure that you have at least 6 inches from the top of the bed rails up to the nose of the trailer. That way you don't have to worry about the fifth wheel's nose coming in and damaging your bed rails. The other important factor here is going to be our weight capacities. Now this has a 16,000 pound gross towing weight capacity and a 4,000 pound vertical load limit, so that's that pin weight coming down on the fifth wheel hitch itself. And like I said before, you definitely want to make sure that you're verifying exactly what your truck can handle and make sure you're not overloading it. Now with this being an S20 slider base, if you did upgrade to a larger truck later on and installed base rails, you would be able to swap out the hitch head here, maybe put in a A20 and get that 20,000 pound capacity from both the rails as well as the hitch itself. And as far as maintenance goes, this hitch is super easy to take care of. Step one, always use your lube plate. That way you're not scratching up or dirtying up the head of your hitch. It's going to save it and keep it lasting for a much longer time. You might even want to pick a few of these up. These are super inexpensive. I keep a couple extra just for my dad because he's the kind of person that doesn't fully have it where it needs to be, and then he ends up smacking it up against the hitch here and then kind of dents up that ring, and then over time it'll wear down. So super easy, and it's a couple bucks just to save yourself a much larger cost of fixing up the hitch head or maybe your pin box. As far as the jaws go, there's going to be a grease zerk fitting on either side, and those you just want to pump in 1 or 2 squirts every trip. Maybe if you're going once or twice a month. If you're going a little bit more, definitely throw a little bit more in there as you're using it more often. If you're one of those hot shot drivers and you're hooking up to multiple trailers, that would be a good choice for you. As far as the base, so with this, we just want to rub on some white lithium grease and make sure that we're not attracting any dirt or debris that could potentially bind up our slider here to where we wouldn't be able to have it go, and maybe it would catch at one spot, and then now you're not able to get that full 12 inches of extra clearance. Other than that, there really isn't too much more to this. I would definitely recommend, if you can, get a tonneau cover. Cover up your hitch, don't let it get rained on. It's going to last a whole lot longer and you won't have any of those kind of rusted or corroded issues. And then if you're starting to feel like there's too much vibration, maybe things feel a little bit off, the dampeners that are built into the head and in the center section down in here can easily be replaced as well. All you'll have to do is pop out this pin and clip here. You can pull this whole pin out, which allows you to remove the hitch head. Now it is a little bit harder just because those dampeners are sitting in there. There's like a V shape kind of going down into that, so that when you set the hitch head in, it kind of forces it into that one spot. But that dampener's what I'm kind of catching on here. A few times in moving this in and out, it should be pretty much good to go. But with this being brand new, it's fighting me just a little bit. Once you get that worked in though, if you do want to remove your hitch and you want to take it out in pieces, you could do that so that you could pop the whole head off. This is just 4 bolts and these are going to be torqued down, but if you have a torque wrench, you could easily take the center section out as well and then make this a whole lot lighter, because the slider base by itself is pretty heavy. I would not recommend lifting that up just by yourself. I'd definitely get an extra friend to help. That way you can safely put it in and out of your truck without scratching up the bed. Well, I think that does it for our look at the Curt A16 fifth wheel hitch with the S20 slider base here in our 2017 Toyota Tundra. My name's Kevin, and if you still have some questions or you're just still looking for that right hitch for your specific setup, then please feel free to reach out to us via our Ask the Experts link, a comment on this video, or phone call to our customer service department, and we'd be happy to help you out on your journey.